If your home is like mine, you've seen an uptick in the amount of time on screens and devices as we've all self-isolated. Today, I'm joined by Neal Harmon, co-founder of the streaming service VidAngel. We talk about the challenges and resources for parents navigating all of the media choices for our children. Neal brings a lot of wisdom and some encouraging options to help our families. Hey, I'm Jay Holland, and I want to welcome you to Let's Parent on Purpose. This is a podcast for families who want to thrive and not just survive their parenting years. Each week, I'll bring you an insight or an interview that will help strengthen your marriage, parenting, or your walk with Jesus. If you find this podcast helpful, I would ask that you subscribe and share it with your friends. You can also go to letsparentonpurpose.com and search for past topics, as well as get a hold of free resources that I've created to help your family. Every single week, I'm encouraged that you're back for a little more investing in your marriage, parenting, and walk with Jesus. I think you're really going to enjoy this conversation today. I did. I am joined by Neal Harmon. He is the CEO and co-founder of VidAngel, a streaming service that allows parents to skip objectionable content in entertainment using groundbreaking technology. And I'm actually a subscriber to VidAngel. This is not a paid promotion. I just think it's an incredible service. VidAngel has been highly profiled for The Chosen, its original series about Jesus, and the #1 crowdfunded media project in history. Its other incredible family-based content, like Drybar Comedy, is a super option for moms and dads. It's clean comedy content by top-rated comedians. VidAngel recently made headlines by offering all of its streaming content free during the COVID-19 pandemic, provided that people agree to social distance. This is a great conversation. We talk about VidAngel as well as this new series, which the trailers that I've seen just look so high quality, called The Chosen, that chronicles Jesus and the impact that he had on people throughout the Gospels. Neal and I talk about navigating some of the different media choices out there, including contracts and things that he's done to help his family as they are introduced to devices and screens. Neal shares some of the different struggles that VidAngel has had in making sure that they can legally allow you to skip some of the worst things in TVs and movies. And I'm not going to spoil that too much. But this is just one of those interviews where you can listen. Some of the ones that we have will just, break your brain because there's so much content that you need to process and analyze. You're going to just flow right along with this one because you're right there with us. And I think that by the end of this conversation today, you're going to be encouraged at some of the ways that you can help protect your children from some of the nastiness that Hollywood likes to throw into the things that otherwise would be helpful or quality movies to watch. Additionally, anything that we talk about, I just want to let you know, is going to be posted in my show notes, as well as on the website at letsparentonpurpose.com. And if you want me to email it to you, just text the word things, THINGS, to 66866. That's things to 66866, and I'll send links to the resources that we talk about as well. Hey, without further ado, here is my conversation with Neal Harmon, and I pray that it's a blessing to you today. Neal Harmon, thank you so much for joining us today on Let's Parent on Purpose. We're happy to have you.
Oh, it's so good to be here. Thanks, Jay, for having me on.
Yeah. And I think you said you're located in Provo, Utah. Is that correct?
That's right.
All right. Now, I am familiar with VidAngel. I'm actually a subscriber. I don't think I told you that before we got started, but my family's subscribers to VidAngel. So I've known about it for some time. I mentioned in the bio that you were the co-founder of it, but let's say that somebody has no idea what VidAngel is. How would you explain it to them?
So VidAngel helps you make entertainment good for your own home. And what's good for your home is your own personal choice. We do that in a couple of ways. The first one that we started with is we let you connect your VidAngel account to your favorite media and then skip stuff that you find objectionable in your home. So you could watch Stranger Things without strong language. You could watch popular movies without nudity and enjoy them in your home with your family. The second thing that we do as a company is we take all the skip choices that families make and we share them with comedians that partner with us, with creators that partner with us, so that they can make better content for our audience. And I think we'll probably talk a little bit about that today. But two of our really big brands that we started with are Drybar Comedy and The Chosen. So, but our purpose as a company is to help you to make entertainment good for your own home.
And it really is fascinating technology. So let's say that you have a Netflix account or an Amazon Prime account. You, at least I'm going to say how I've used it as a parent, and you can
Yeah.
correct me if because,
Yeah.
like once you get all this set up, I forget how I set it up in the first place. You just go and do it. But let's say you want to watch a show. You've connected your Netflix account or your Amazon Prime account with VidAngel. Now I go on to VidAngel and you give me all of these list of options of, I can and it's so amazing how you do it. Where I can hit, I don't want to hear if they say the Lord's name in vain. I
Yep.
don't want to hear jokes about sexuality. I
Yep.
don't want to see drug references. And you have such amazing fine tuning of control over these things. And then you go on and you watch your show and I don't even notice it most of the time. Like, it's not some really, like rough 1980s cut and paste together or something. Like, the technology is pretty amazing what you've done with it, and it really does lower the that worry factor as a parent, because there's a lot of movies and shows that are pretty good, and then they'll just throw in that one thing
Right.
that and it's just, I think a lot of it is maybe they think that if they get the PG-13 rating, they're going to make more money, but what they really do is slowly poison their audience. So you've done a phenomenal service to moms and dads. What have I missed in describing how that works?
Oh, I think you've done a really great job. It is very seamless for the most part, unless you watch Game of Thrones. You might be just watching the credits together as a
Right.
family.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's a
at some point
joke.
you gotta decide, right. Yeah. At some point you gotta decide whether something's worth it or not.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So that's my personal philosophy. The reason I started VidAngel is I wanted to share um, the movie Cinderella Man with my kids, and
Uh-huh.
particularly the scene about when the little boy. That movie's about a boxer who was really big in the Roaring '20s. He crashed and burned really hard, and then he went through the Great Depression and nearly lost his kids. And there's this scene where his kid steals salami, and he takes his kid back to the salami store, has him return it, and then has this conversation that I wanted my kids to see.
Mhm.
I want them to see that movie just for that scene, and it's such a great movie. But the New Yorker coach has got a mouth on him, and I don't
Yeah.
want my kids repeating all his language to their siblings. And so that's the reason we started it, was so that we could experience that really great story without them repeating stuff that we don't want in our home.
Yeah. And, one of the things that I've noticed is, especially with older movies, like movies that we watched when we were younger, first off, I just have to say I wasn't very sensitive to the Holy Spirit when I was a teenager, because I'll look back, I'll be like, "Oh, this was great. I wanna watch it with my kids. It's PG, no big deal."
Yeah.
I forget that when we were young, PG meant something very different
Yeah.
than it means now,
Yeah.
and so it can be shocking as you get into there. So it's such a great tool. It really is. And as you mentioned, you have your own content that you've put on there as well. The Drybar Comedy is comedians that are clean, and just the easiest way to put it. Good comedians that are clean
Well,
is the way.
I would about 90% of the comedians that are on Dry Bar, if you go watch them live, you'll be shocked because they aren't clean.
Oh, really?
Right. There's only probably 10 to 20% of them that are, and the
Uh huh.
rest are coming and they're saying, "Hey, teach me what your audience, you know, what your audience skips over." And then they bend over backwards to do their routine because they're really funny comedians, but then they pull all that stuff out of their act that they know offends people, and then they give a really good clean show.
Interesting.
So we're combining the funny comedians with the audience that wants clean, and we have a bigger market as a result. We get over 1 billion views a year on Drybar.
Wow. $1 billion a year.
over a
Wow,
billion
that's
views a year.
over $1 billion a year. That's almost like a single episode of Let's Parent on Purpose, I think, that we get. Something like that. My math's a little off, but, now I wanna get to one of the major things that you wanna talk about. By the way, this whole podcast is not simply a commercial for VidAngel, but it's a great tool, and if you have heard of it, you're amening right along with us, and if you've never heard of it, you really should. Stick around. The next thing you're gonna talk about, I've got to see some of the previews and trailers of, and especially during this time when moms and dads are home and looking for something of quality to watch with their kids. Not just something where you're filtering out the bad stuff, but something that's just of super high quality. Tell us about The Chosen.
So The Chosen explores the lives of those who Jesus touched. It's set during the first century AD, and it's a surprising show because if you love TV, well, let me tell you a story. When we went to premiere The Chosen at the National Religious Broadcasters Conference in Anaheim, California, the the gentleman who was doing all the tech work on the premiere, as he was preparing the content and as he displayed the content, he told us afterwards, "I'm not a believer, but I lost track of my job because this show was so interesting."
Wow.
And so the writing, it's written by three writers, and Dallas Jenkins, the director, a guy who is from Hollywood, who's made a lot of movies and knows how to write a story and knows how to deliver a great plot, and then another believer who they write this together, and it's like Breaking Bad or any of the other really compelling TV shows. And The Chosen has done so well that it has now reached the top rated TV list of all time on IMDb.
Wow.
And so it legitimately is a great show, whether you're a believer or not.
Hmm.
And so you'll enjoy that part of it, that it's well crafted. But then it's also faithful to the Bible. Its goal is to draw people to the New Testament. Its goal is to draw people to Jesus, not to uh, not to diverge or have some other agenda,
Hmm.
which often we've seen with
Yeah.
Hollywoodized Bible shows.
Yeah. Even the Bible shows that have tried to stay faithful to the Bible, it seems like they have a really hard time with Jesus, where he just becomes this like disattached semi-zombie figurine that happens to do miracles and say quotes from the Bible.
Yeah, and
Um,
I mean, I have an appreciation for people who did it that way because they're so careful, because it's the Son of God, right? They don't
right. Yeah,
wanna
yeah,
screw
yeah.
up, so they wanna stick exactly to the word of God. They wanna stick exactly to the verses in Scripture, and they're so careful about that that sometimes we forget the humanity of Jesus, that
Right.
he really did condescend to to flesh, and he experienced the same things we did. And Dallas I feel like, has just nailed that balance that's so hard to
Yeah.
find, where we feel like we relate to him through the people that he interacted with. So
Well,
that
I'm
was a great
excited to
point.
yeah, I'm excited to watch it with my fam. I picked that up when I was looking at some of the trailers from it. Is like, this looks like you've hit a Jesus that is a human, that is fully God, but also is fully man. And yeah, like, as hard as it is to comprehend that in your mind, that's got to be near impossible for an actors and filmmakers and producers to pull off. Because yeah, I would rather err on the fully God side personally um, than maybe portray anything that looks like Jesus in a sinful manner. But
Mhm.
there's a lot of humanity that is not sinful, and so
That's right.
yeah,
That's right.
it's a
You get to see Jesus cut himself in the show
uh-huh.
and
Huh.
fix his own. I mean, I don't want to give any spoilers, but I will say, for those of you um, who have young kids, I
Hmm.
recommend starting with episode 3. It's
Okay.
one that's for
Hmm.
children, and it really drew my kids in. And once they saw that, I mean, I had one daughter who's frustrated with church and gets sick of that kind of stuff. And when she got done watching that episode, she looked at me with just this twinkle in her eye and said, "Do you think Jesus could have actually been that way?" And she was
Huh.
so excited that he could be approachable to her. And then after that happened, I didn't even have to ask her to watch the rest of the show. She just watched it on
Hmm.
her own. So you might start with that one. The first one
Okay.
is a little, I mean, because this is a parenting show, the first one's got a scene with a possession where somebody's
Hmm.
possessed, and it's probably the darkest, roughest moment of season one.
Hmm.
So just be aware of that.
Okay.
But our kids got through it after they saw episode 3.
Okay. All right. And is VidAngel the only place to see the show?
Yeah, you can watch it on VidAngel for free right now if you
Oh
agree to
wow.
practice social distancing and give bigger hugs when this is all over. Um, the So without a credit card, or you can download the Chosen app. There's an app called The Chosen that you can search for
Uh-huh.
on the Google Play or Apple app stores. And then if you download the VidAngel or the Chosen app, they allow you to just cast the show right to your TV, to your Roku TV, your Apple TV, whatever device you have. They'll just cast right to it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So I would imagine you have your feelers out all over the Hollywood and media landscape as you guys are looking on what to filter and what to bring in. You're also a parent. You mentioned a child, but I think you've got more than one. What's the ranges, the spectrum of your
Our
children?
oldest is 17 and our youngest is 6 months.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
well that's
And
quite the field there.
we have 9 living. So we lost 1.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
wow. That's quite a bit, so my goodness. And you have time to think about television, that's good. So, what do you do with this? You have, eh, do you try to find, like, immediate entertainment that will work for your, oldest 8 or so?
So we
What do
do
you
2
guys do as
things right
parents?
now during the so-called shutdown.
Uh-huh,
We've kind of landed on 2 movie nights a week, and we split up the family for one, where the older kids go and watch something that they want to watch that we don't think is appropriate for the younger kids, and then the younger kids watch something that they want to. Um, and then we also do a family movie night where we watch every we find something that we can watch all together.
okay,
So that's what we've been doing.
that's good,
Yeah.
that's good. Have you found that your rules or your media choices and stuff have changed during this time where you guys are together a lot more? Like, I know personally in our house, we're still monitoring and regulating device usage, but to be quite honest, 18 hours a day awake at home with 4 kids, there's only so many Legos that you can build and even so much time that you can send them outside when they can't, like, in our neighborhood, like, 'cause, we're in South Florida, so it's social distancing with a Republican governor, I guess would be the good way to say it. Um, so they can't play together, but they can bike ride. And so I'll look out my window and there'll just be hordes of children on bicycles roving the streets um, together, not touching each other, not staying near each other. But like if they were on motorcycles, the cops would be coming thinking a gang has invaded the neighborhood. But even still, with all of that, there's a lot of time. And
Yeah.
so, we have gotten, we've had to do it just for the sake of mom and dad, where, okay, you can watch more, you can play more as long as you're getting your other stuff done. How have you guys navigated that in your household?
So the way we've done it is set expectations beforehand. So we do like a family planning on Sunday where we
Mhm.
say, if you want to do media, why don't we choose what movie we're going to watch or what we're going to do during the week, and then we set up a certain time from like 3:30 to dinner where they can do their thing, like play games or whatever, as long as they have their schoolwork done and their chores done beforehand. Um, and The other thing that's been helpful for us that we didn't do well on our older kids, but we've done better on our younger kids is when they first get into devices is we set up a contract where we
Hmm.
say where we outline the parameters. You can use a device after this time in the morning. You only can use a device if you've done these things, and it just sets. I have an example if you wanted the sheet or to share with
Yeah.
the parents. I could
Yeah, we
share
would
with you
love
the
we'll put
so we created a contract, and then when the kid wants to do it, they get access to the device or to an account because they signed this contract, and we discussed the contract together beforehand and change the parameters based off of that conversation of them saying, "This is what I feel like I need," and us saying, "This is what we're concerned about." And then we come to an agreement, and then they know after they sign that agreement, if they break it, then they don't have the right to that to the access any longer.
hmm.
And that's helped. It's not perfect, but it's really helped. And the older kids, the 17-year-old and the one who's turning 16 in a month, they don't want to enter. They're like, we're beyond that. We're not doing the contract. Yeah. So and we're at a point now with them that we're feeling like they've got to learn to manage device
Right.
fatigue or device addiction themselves, because they're about they're close to leaving the home. So
Right.
we haven't enforced a contract with them, but they've
And that's a
agreed.
really important point,
Go ahead.
that I have a 17-year-old right now. She's done with she's done with high school. She's done with her associate's degree. She's just can't graduate because 'cause they're not walking.
Hmm.
I guess technically she's graduated. She's working almost 40 hours a week at Chick-fil-A, um, and you don't want to have it where they're living under such stringent rules by the time they leave your house that they only make the decisions that you enforce, because that doesn't really help them navigate. Like, you've got to be, um, was it
Winging
Parenting
them.
with Love and Logic? Yeah, yeah. That cone of responsibility has to keep getting more and more open, and some of it is like, you wanna give them chances to fail while they're still in your house,
Hmm.
because, you the recovery is much easier when they're at home. And so, you don't want somebody that just obeys because you've said to obey, but because they've got a heart of wisdom and discernment in there. And they can't do that if you've got super stringent rules all the way across the board by the time they're 16, 17 years old.
Right. And what we feel like is that anytime that our rules is our emotions getting in the rules, or they feel like the rules are moving on them, that's where you really get the conflict.
Mhm.
But if you pre-agree on something, which again, that's why the Sunday meeting has really smoothed things out for during this time. Like, we had 3 or 4 weeks that were pretty disastrous under the quarantine because everyone was doing what they wanted,
Mhm.
and there was no agreement as to how things should go. But when we made an agreement beforehand, we break it sometimes. Yeah, I mean, we mess up, but at least it removes a lot of the stress because you talked about it in advance. And that's the same
Right.
thing with the contract over devices.
Yeah. Are there some of these things that you're finding are not just good principles for the quarantine time, but that you think you guys would like to continue as the restrictions open up?
All of them, like meaning the agreement stuff and the planning stuff, we want to continue. The other thing we want to continue post quarantine is we've picked up hiking,
Okay.
because we didn't want people on devices all the time, and there are some trails here in Utah that are fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
That there aren't that many people on if you go at the right time of the day. And
Uh-huh.
so we got hiking boots and we started hiking together as a family. And the kids have really loved that because it gives them an escape. And so we've picked it up together as a family.
Uh, Do you think so I'm just wondering because I've heard that, like people from Apple and these people that are creating the devices tend to not let their kids have devices, on a much stricter level than the rest of us who are just buying it and handing it out and everything.
Yeah, because they
Um,
know they're designing them to be
right.
addictive, and they
Yeah.
know exactly what they're doing. So they're
Yeah.
like, "You stay away from that stuff."
Right. So, you how VidAngel has been around for how long now?
2013 is when we officially formed a company.
Okay, and when you started, um, I feel like were you mailing out discs? How was it or it was past VHS. I'm pretty sure it was, like, past
The very first version, the reason we started is because in 2013, Google announced the Chromecast device, which had a
okay.
which plugged in the back of your TV, did HD video, it connected to Google Play, which had access to the whole Hollywood library, and it had a little SDK on it, software development kit. That's the reason we started VidAngel, because we said, hey, nobody's solving this problem of skipping objectionable content for streaming. With that little device, and with us building a program for their software development kit, we can create this product and we can sell these devices and we can start this company. That's why we started the company then. And when we called Google and asked to buy a bunch of devices from them after we started the company, after we raised money, Google said, hey, once we launch this officially publicly, if you know, then make your order. Well, when they launched it officially publicly, they had removed all the technology that made it possible to skip the
Oh,
objectionable bits. So we had raised money, started this company, and we were dead on arrival, because they removed the tech. We later learned that it was because the studios were enforcing their contracts that they have that prevent Google from being able to let us do that. So they had
hmm.
to remove the tech. But that was a long iteration of now 6 versions of our service that have been challenged, shut down, sued over, whatever it may be, of the studio system not wanting parents to have the ultimate authority in their home. So it's been quite a
It's
ride,
it's
Jay.
a really strange thing that, you're because you still have to buy you're not pirating, uh, movies or shows and handing them out. They still have to buy or purchase the show or license, right?
That's
You're
right.
just
Every
you're just
iteration of our system has been that way. The iteration number 4 we were sued over because the studios wanted, because we were growing so fast, and they claimed piracy and they won in the LA court.
uh-huh.
But we just keep trucking along trying to solve the problem for parents, and we've
I mean, this is the same thing that has happened for decades where mom and dad will stand in front of the TV or will hurry up and hit the fast forward button.
So James
Um,
Dobson, I was on a radio program with him, and he said his dad, when they got a TV in their house for the first time, the only reason that they could get it is because he said he had to hook a hanger to the switch, so that if there was something that came on that he didn't want, he could just yank this thing or pull on it. And that was, I was like, oh, James Dobson created the first version of VidAngel, or his dad did.
huh,
So Dr. James Dobson from Colorado.
but there's a it just feels like, well, evil. It really does when I think about it. Like, why if the producers are getting their money, if they're all getting their money, um, why are they so rabid that explicit scenes be left in their movies? Why are they so rabid that, vulgar language, that all of these things are in there? Um, and I don't know, I
I,
imagine you've had plenty of thoughts on this, and I'd love to hear yours because mine it just sounds like an evil world.
so I have, I actually have a very unique view on this, because I lean libertarian politically,
Mhm.
and I very much believe in free speech, and feel like free speech, especially when it comes to religious speech, is under attack right now in America. And it's not that we can't say things; it's that people get deplatformed um, on Facebook and YouTube because of the positions that they take, and that worries me. And I see the argument that a director who wants to get across a message should be able to create that message and control how that message gets published in the public sphere. And I would defend that right, because of my desire to be able to go into the public sphere and preach the risen
Sure.
Lord, right?
Mhm.
So let's, if somebody wants to go and their speech is they want to show um, nudity, in the public sphere, and people want to go see that in the public sphere, and I get that. If they get that, then we get the ability in the public sphere to go and preach, right?
Sure.
That's free
Right.
speech. So
Yeah.
I can see why Americans would defend that right so vehemently.
Mm-hmm.
The flip side of that is that anybody knows that when you're watching something, or when your kids are watching something, sometimes stuff just makes your stomach churn and you close your eyes, or you turn it off or whatever. It's just an innate right that once you've paid to
Right.
watch something in your home, that's where once it enters your home, that's where their rights end.
Yeah.
Somebody has to invite someone in their home to hear about the gospel. Somebody has to invite someone in their home to see a nude scene on a movie. So if you're invited, why can't that person in their home choose to close their eyes, choose to close their ears, and why can't they hire a company to make it easier for them to do so? That just
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. It makes total sense. I think the average American, when they hear that, say, "Yeah, that makes sense. You should
Yeah.
be able to do that." And so it doesn't make sense. There may be an evil component for some people in the market, but I think there's a genuine desire to protect speech, and that most people who are coming at that argument, they're coming at it with this mistaken idea that somehow this is a threat to free speech, that it somehow is censorship, when it really isn't. It's just people making individual choices. And in reality, like with the Drybar Comedy people, with the comedians, we tell them they can perform whatever they want on the stage, and we show them what people skip, and then we tell them, if people don't skip your stuff, you get bonuses, and that's all we do. And
Huh.
as soon as we do that, the artists just do what the audience would like to see.
Huh.
So
Wow.
anyway, there is an evil element, but the evil comes from, the adversary comes from Satan. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think that the people who are involved in it even realize that what they're doing is imposing
No.
evil on
Yeah.
people's homes.
Yeah. Well, let's pivot. We got a couple minutes left. I'm curious, what are you seeing that's good out there? There's a lot of media choices, and that's one of the things. Just as a parent, I feel overwhelmed
Mm-hmm.
often with the amount of choices and even the amount of good things. I remember, especially like as we started this social distancing stuff, as we're trying to navigate getting 3 different children set up to homeschool with 3 different schools and 3 different platforms, and then the deluge of information coming at us. Is overwhelming. And so it's
Yes.
almost like at some point you just shut off your brain. I don't care how good the idea is. It doesn't matter. I can't do anymore.
Right.
Um, but now that we've kind of like rolled into our routine, what are some of the good things that are out there that you're seeing that are encouraging or innovative, that you would say, Mom and Dad, you might want to pay attention to this, because as far as media and stuff like that, this would be something encouraging and helpful for families. We've already promoted The Chosen and
Yeah.
Drybar Comedy. 100% would recommend those. What else do you know about?
I really enjoy Some Good News from John Krasinski.
Yeah.
That's really good. It's on YouTube. There we started a series called Never Failed on VidAngel, where people tell stories of reaching the end of their rope and then pulling out of it. Um, my wife loves to go back to some of the old classics, and so in our family, we ask that the kids choose one themselves, and then mom gets to choose one, a classic, and they say that they hate going to the classics, but they're always laughing and they're having a good time by the time they're at the end of it. Um, so some of the classics are really great, but some that have been more recent, I really, on VidAngel at least, I love the Jason Bourne series for the older kids. That one's really good.
Hmm.
Um, the um, the uh, the one for the little kids, there's a show on Netflix called Hello Ninja. I know the people
Hmm.
who created that, and it's really got great foundations to it, and the kids love to watch it over and over and
Hmm.
over and
Yeah.
recreate things. I don't know how many examples you want. I could keep going, but I know we're
No.
limited on time.
Yeah, that's good. My little girl is obsessed with Spirit Riding Free on Netflix. It's a girl and her horse that live out west, and it's a cartoon that's well done enough that it doesn't annoy the daylights out of me when it's on as well. And so that's one of my standards in life. But hey, Neal, I really appreciate it, and wish you the very best with what you guys are doing. And I would encourage those who are listening to not only check out VidAngel, but pray for them, because you guys have spent a tremendous amount of time in the legal realm to keep this service open for people. And I just wonder, if you weren't doing that, how much more you could get advanced in the technology and everything else if you weren't spending so much time, effort, and energy just trying to
We
stay
spent
open.
two
So,
and a half million dollars, about $2.5 million just last year alone on legal fees.
oh my
So
goodness.
imagine if that could go into family's product.
Wow. Wow. So, and is this available internationally, or is this just in the United States?
The Chosen's available everywhere, so you can download it
Okay.
anywhere. And VidAngel, we're working on an international version, but right now VidAngel is primarily promoted in the US.
And if parents are just checking it out, and maybe they're on a tight budget, what are the options for them if they really feel like they would like to check out this service? But especially right now, with money being tight, a lot of people not being able to work. What have you guys got going on?
So we feel really passionately about this. Right now, there's a lot of haves and have-nots, and what the program that we've come up with is called Pay It Forward. And this program allows people who want to back great content or want to back the right to be able to skip objectionable content, for them to pay us so that we can keep the lights on at VidAngel. And then but every time somebody subscribes, they're paying it forward for other people to watch too. So your subscription
Hmm.
will make sure that people who can't afford it can also watch for free. And we do this on the Chosen app as well, is we provide a way for people to watch for free, and then there's a way for people to be able to pay it forward. And so maybe today you're the one who's the recipient, and maybe tomorrow you're the one who's paying it forward. But
Hmm.
either way, we want to make sure that this makes it to everyone who wants to use it.
I love that. Neal, thank you for using your talents for the Lord and for the benefit of families all over. Appreciate it, and hope to have you guys back on soon to tell us all the other things that are happening with VidAngel.
We're looking forward to it. Thanks, Jay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Friend, thanks so much for listening today. I pray it's been a blessing to you, and if it has, please share this episode with somebody that you care about. If God lays it on your heart, I'd love for you to consider joining our Patreon support community. You can find out about that by going to let'sparentonpurpose.com. Finally, if you've got a topic that you'd like to hear me address, send me an email at jay@let'sparentonpurpose.com, or give me a shout on the Let's Parent on Purpose Facebook page. Hey, please never forget that parenting is a marathon, not a sprint, and that you need a good church family to thrive through all of the different challenges that you're going to face. Keep pointing each other to Jesus and enjoy the gift of life that God's giving you today. Hey, whatever season you're in, it won't always be this way, so set your hope on Christ and not your circumstances. Have a blessed day, and I'll talk to you soon.